just say I had no intention to make this video. I was actually just testing out games with the Retro Fighters Mantis controller, review in the description. Normally when testing gear, I spend an hour or so with a game before moving on to something else. I usually end up spending most of my time playing games that I'm super familiar with. This time though, I just couldn't put it down. I originally played this back on the PS3 in 2010. At the time, I hadn't played anything that spoke so clearly to my inner bloke. The team who made this were obviously huge petrol heads, and you can practically smell the motor oil in every part of the presentation. It also didn't hurt that it was largely created by the team behind the Burnout games. When it received the remaster treatment in 2020, I joined many in the sentiment that it looked like a shameless cash grab, a quick and dirty port to current machines with only minimal improvements. What I wasn't expecting was for the same feeling of adrenaline to rocket through my veins as soon as I got back behind the wheel. Clearly, I think it's a great game, but before I tell you why, I want to discuss the updates, the next-gen patch, and the differences to the original beyond the obvious. If you initially dismissed this remaster as just another soulless corporate cash-in on nostalgia, as I did, I hope I can persuade you to give it a second chance. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit originally came out for the PS3, Xbox 360 and PC. On console, the display resolution was capped at 720p and it maxed out at 30 frames per second. And for the time, it looked incredible. The track design was epic, the car models were beautiful, and the audio design was phenomenal. Looking back at it, it's a wonderful time capsule of performance cars from the early 2000s. Despite this, I don't think it's dated like other racing games of the time that have a distinctly Fast and Furious vibe. The only real giveaway to the year it released, other than the cars, is the licensed soundtrack. It received a couple of expansions in the form of new events and vehicles. These added yet more exotic cars, including a personal favourite, and a reasonably unorthodox choice for a mainstream arcade racer, the Gumpert Apollo S. As much as I enjoyed it back in the day, on returning to the original, there's no denying that the presentation just doesn't hold up like I remembered. And while the remaster was universally criticised for being about as basic as upgrades go, it's hard to argue with the results. Almost every asset has seen some love, from textures to particle effects to shadows, draw distances, lighting, and the game can now run at 4K 60, provided you have the hardware capable of doing so. More on that later. Under the hood, there's other changes. Enemy AI has been tweaked, there's new color options, online crossplay, and UI improvements. All of these things individually are minor, but they add up to make the entire package feel cohesive, with very few visual or audio indicators that give it away as a game from the planking era. All of the major DLC is now not only included, but has been seamlessly integrated into the career, although there are a few cars missing. Both the Mercedes-McLaren cars were dropped due to licensing issues, and the Carbon Motors E7 concept was removed for similar reasons. Okay, so that's the remaster in a nutshell. How about the updates then? This game didn't receive many updates, but it did receive a couple of interesting new features, particularly on current-gen consoles. The first couple of patches addressed a variety of technical issues: audio fixes, lobby stability, cross-platform improvements, UI/UX corrections, and general crashing fixes. Good stuff, but honestly not terribly interesting. What is interesting is what was included in patch 2. There were two notable additions in this update. The least notable, from my perspective, is the wrap editor. This introduced decal customization, and before you start dreaming up some kind of dick and balls masterpiece, rude content reporting was also part of this update. The jewel in patch 2 though is the new graphics mode, called Maximum Setting, which is not only a great name, it allows current consoles to max out the resolution and performance caps. The game never got a native port for PS5 or Xbox Series, but this setting allows the game to run at 4K 60 on PS5 and Xbox Series X, and the results are spectacular. And yes, this has always been possible on PC, hardware permitting. Hot Pursuit feels fast. There's an excellent sensation of speed even in the lowest category of vehicles. If the power slides didn't give it away, handling is arcadey, making it easy to pick up, and if you've played any of the recent Need for Speed games, you'll feel right at home. There is enough nuance though for experienced drivers to extract more speed out of the car. I reckon this game has some of the most satisfying handling I've experienced. It's arcadey without being overly floaty, and it feels incredible at 60 frames per second. I think above everything else, this is the biggest improvement in the remaster. The two most obvious signs that this isn't a modern game is the format, being a no-frills circuit racer, and the roster of cars. Unlike the recent Need for Speed games and other modern racing games like Forza, Hot Pursuit is not open world. Okay, technically you can free roam the map, and some of the police chase events utilize a more open approach, although choosing events is done using a UI, and while there are shortcuts during races, it's not like Burnout Paradise where you can choose your own route. Customization is also limited to picking the colour. I love slapping a big wing on shit as much as the next petrol head, but I appreciate how fast this game gets you on the road. I also don't think every game needs to be a Pimp My Ride simulator. Most of the cars in this game are exciting enough, and I think this is why some other games haven't aged as well. This is the type of AAA arcade racing game that publishers don't make anymore, with licensed cars and a focus on fun driving mechanics over things like body kits, engine swaps, and custom paint jobs. I disagree with the criticism that Hot Pursuit's format and lack of customization makes it feel dated. If anything, I think bloated open world races have become the cliche. Hot Pursuit is a reminder that racing games don't need loads of distractions if the racing itself is compelling. One of the main attractions when this originally came out is the way it asynchronously pits you against your friends. So basically you get a notification every time one of your mates beats one of your records. This has been preserved here, and being super competitive, I find it incredibly addictive. I was constantly retrying events to claim the top spot of the scoreboard. Oh, and guess what? The online is still active, which was a huge surprise. I kinda thought 5 years after launch it would be dead for sure. This has clearly been buoyed by the fact that this remaster is cross-play between all platforms. It's fucking sweaty as hell, but if you're looking for a challenge beyond the career, you'll get it here. You can turn crossplay off if you want, although there's no way to discriminate against specific platforms. It's either all of them or just your own platform. Once again, the changes to how this remaster plays are minor, at least on paper. In practice though, they do feel meaningful, and in terms of how it plays, it could easily be a game that came out this year. The remaster is available on all current systems. This did come out for last gen, actually technically it only came out on last gen, although ignoring PC, current consoles are by far the best way to play it. PC is the place to go for the best performance and visuals. After that, the best platform is the PS5 because it has the most solid performance. Both the PS5 and Series X aim for 4K at 60 frames per second, although this does fluctuate, more so on Xbox than PlayStation. Series S is 30 frames per second at 1080p, whereas the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X can choose between 4K 30 or 1080p 60. Yeah, Series S got screwed over. The last gen machines, including the Switch in docked mode, are 1080p at 30 frames per second. Switch in handheld mode is 720p at 30. The Switch 2 is also locked to 1080p at 30, as the Switch version never received the maximum setting graphics option. Seeing how good it looks at 4K and how incredible it feels to play at 60, I recommend seeking out the platforms that can deliver that, especially if you played it back on the PS3 and 360. It really is stunning, and the up-res graphics showcase what a beautiful game this is and how well it has stood the test of time. If you've never played it before, then I think any version is fine. It's a great game regardless. 60 frames per second is supremely nice though. It would be pretty disingenuous to advertise this as some kind of gold standard example of a remaster. It's not. Honestly, I think EA got lucky. They probably thought they could make a quick buck churning out a minimal effort remaster, especially considering the success of Burnout Paradise. It was just good fortune that the fresh coat of paint has revitalized what was already a great game. I can especially recommend this to fans of the Burnout series. It's missing the crash mode from the earlier titles, but fundamentally this is Burnout, just with licensed cars and police chases. The speed, the takedowns, and the track design all have that classic Burnout feel. It doesn't have the customization or exploration that many modern racing games provide, but I reckon that's actually a key strength. If you just want to go racing in some fast cars and cut out all the bullshit, this is perfect for that. It's easy to pick up, getting into a race is quick, and the skill ceiling is high enough for it not to get boring. If you really want to test your skills, it still has online multiplayer, and if you prefer leaderboards, the autolog feature remains an excellent way to challenge your friends. If it wasn't obvious, I love this game.